Thank you very much. Right, so the Star Wars films, as I'm sure they did for a lot of you, formed very much a formative part of our lives. And they were, the prequels were just so disappointing and awful, and I'm going to explain why. And really, the red flags were there with the special editions that came out before the prequels. Suddenly, there's 3D everywhere and stuff that really doesn't need to be there, stuff that is just offensive to the eye. So when The Phantom Menace came out in 1999, it was hyped enormously. Everyone's expectations were way, way, way high. And then, of course, the film came out, and on the opening crawl, everyone's expectations just hit the floor. Because the opening crawl said this: turmoil has engulfed the Galactic Republic. The taxation of trade routes. It's right, like, taxation of trade routes? What, hyperinflation's out of control, VAT's all over the place, Wookiees are swimming in negative equity? And then the film followed, and it was just a confusing mess. You spent the whole film going, what? Why is he talking to her? What's he doing? Why are they following this big floppy thing that doesn't do anything? You just look around so confused. And there's so many problems with the prequels, but one is the over-reliance on special effects. These films made you feel like a dog having a car keys jangled in front of you. It's like, yeah, you like that, don't you? Shiny, oh, shiny. The prequels have what, if you were being generous, you'd call them characters. The film gives you absolutely no reason whatsoever to give a monkeys about any of the people in it, especially Jar Jar Binks, unless you believe the fan theory that he's the evil genius behind everything, but that's another story. Compare them to the characters in the original trilogy. These are people who we grew up with, who had personalities, who we ended up caring about. And also, what the original trilogy did so right, that the prequels got so wrong, is the originals had a plot. So this is the very first scene. You see this huge, big Star Destroyer looming over the camera, and it tells you what you need to know about the film. It teaches you that the guys in the big ship, they're the bad guys, and the guys in the little ship, they've got no chance, they're the good guys. It also establishes motivation. The first thing you see Darth Vader do is beat someone up, so you've got a reason to not like him. You see Luke Skywalker, his aunt and uncle are turned into skeletons by the Empire, so he's got a reason to join the rebellion. And most importantly, the thing that the original trilogy gets right and the prequels get wrong are the lightsaber battles. The lightsaber battles have context. So here we have Obi-Wan Kenobi versus Darth Vader, the old master versus his apprentice. In Empire Strikes Back, you have the old evil ruler versus the young pretender. And in Jedi, you have son versus father. Sorry, spoilers. And in the prequels, you've got no context whatsoever. Like Darth Maul, he's a bad guy. That's all you know. Apart from that, there's no reason for them to fight. Count Dooku, well, you know he's a bad guy because he's played by Christopher Lee. But apart from that, they're fighting because he's a bad guy. And they also fight this guy at some point, and this guy has 4 lightsabers. Oh, yeah, absolutely awful. So, they also, as well as ruining lightsaber fights, they ruin lots of things, like the Force. In the originals, it's just sort of like otherworldly, mystical energy. And in the prequels, they test Anakin Skywalker for midi-chlorians, these little microscopic organisms. So they explain the Force with microbiology. And they ruin Yoda in a big way. In Empire, he's this little mystical creature who teaches you that the Force is something beyond the physical, because he's a little guy, but he can use it. But in the prequels, they give him a little lightsaber and make him have a fight. And he bounces around like a tennis ball. And at this point in the film, I thought I'd completely given up with it. And I just laughed my arse off because it was so funny. So there's more unintentional hilarity. One is the love scenes between these two. The dialogue is the most clunky, awful dialogue you could ever hope to ever hear. There's one bit where he says, "I don't like sand, it's rough and coarse, not like you, you're smooth." Makes us sick. And Darth Vader, when he becomes Darth Vader, he gets up and he stumbles around absolutely terribly before going, "No!" And you just, Awful. Real kick in the teeth. So what can we do about it? Well, does anyone remember the Star Wars Holiday Special? Maybe one or two nerds. We completely forgot about that because it was shown once, was rubbish, and then forgotten about. So we forgot about the Star Wars Holiday Special. We can forget about the prequels as well. Thank you.